Hello everyone, this is Mohan Raghavan, and this video we are going to see what is float property in CSS3 styling and what is the requirement or what is the need for using the float property and how to use it and what are the different ways we can use the float property. So we have the index.html, something looks like this, and we will understand what are the stylings and what are the segments we have in our index.html. Let's go to the VS Code, and here you can see it has the default metadata in the header session. In body, we have the H1, which is the learn CSS float, and we have the div tag. Inside the div tag, it is embedded with one image, and after that, some text. And after that, we have another div tag, which has the 2 paragraphs inside our p tags. And as part of CSS styling, we can just compare with our page. So it has the background, you can see background, and it has the margin, and it has the, let's say, the font family as Cambria. And let's say we have the image and paragraph tags, which has the width and height 200 and 150 respectively. That's the reason you can see the paragraphs in the box format, which is having the width 200 and 150 for the height. So far we have just seen what is our index.html and what are the stylings we have applied in the previous area. Now let's understand the border. So just see how the border looks like for everything. And here you can see the borders. So now there is something we need to understand before going to the float property. Whenever you mention elements one by one, so that means that element will be taking the entire row, then you will be having the next element. Simply means if you have the number of elements one by one in your index.html, it will be just taking the place from top to bottom one by one. Even though if you don't use other area, let's say for example, here you can see there are 2 paragraphs inside your div tag. So, but in the first paragraph, you have only height and width very less. Even though you have very less area, still the second paragraph will be coming in the next line only. So that's the problem if you have the paragraph or let's say any elements in the normal way. So for this, we are going to use the float property. For example, just for our paragraphs, we will try to use it. Let's go. And this is paragraph. So let's say make the paragraph styling and make the property called float and value will be left. So that means that whichever the paragraphs, let's say for example, even you can just make it as a specific one, or even we can directly use. So what happens is like when you apply the paragraph, p tag float left. So that means that if you go to the output, so this p tag will be floating on your left hand side. So that means that it will allow other elements to be followed immediately. So just let me save it and show the output. And here you can see at once it allows to follow the next element without having the gap or let's say space. The same thing with the other paragraph as well. Let's say if you are adding one more paragraph, it will allow the next element as well. Let's say for example, p tag, save it. And here you can see it allows the next paragraph also to be following. So this way we can make the different layout in the HTML pages. So now we will go back and we will do same thing for the image as well. Let's say for example, this image has the first element or embedded element following the text path, but the text is just making the entry after the image. It is in the next row. So just to make in the align way or let's say floating property, just we can make like comma img and save it. Now here you can see, so the image has float property on left hand side. So that means that it will be floating on your left hand side and it will allow other content to be followed immediately. So it will not make the next row. So that's the reason here you can see the text immediately following. So the paragraph or the text, whatever you have after the image, immediately it will be displayed here. So just I am making or disabling the border now. So here you can see the clear output. So now this way we can understand that. So just to make the layouts, we can use the properties called left and right. Let's say even you can use the property called right. And let's see the output. Here you can see the right. So this way you can make the different layout or different content with images, and you can make the different styling or different look and feel. So this is about the float. The main point about the float is like you need to understand that whenever you apply the float property to an element, that element will allow other elements to wrap up that. For example, now let's say let me make it as a right, or it's right. So make it as a left. and save it. So that means that after completing the image, so it will allow other things. So other things in the sense immediate following things are text. So it is allowing the other things to wrap that image. Or let's say you can consider the other way also. Let's say this entire box you can consider, say, or let's say, let me highlight the div tag. Okay. So let's me save it, and here you can see this entire div tag is the box. Inside that you will be having your text. However, you have the image as well, right? So the image will be floating on your left hand side. So that means that it will be floating on your left hand side and it will have other areas to be covered. The similar applicable to your paragraph as well. For the other div tag, you have the different paragraphs. This paragraph will be appearing in the individual rows. If you don't apply the float property, when you apply the float property, that will be floating on your left hand side so that it will allow other elements to be covered in the same line itself. So this way we can understand. So what is the need for the, let's say, the float property, and what are the two different values that we can apply? Also, we have seen it is a left and right. Okay, thanks all. Thanks for watching and have a great day.